Welcome, everybody, and thanks for tuning in, friends, families, and colleagues. Yet again, I am here on this wonderful Sunday afternoon to have a conversation, to talk with you about the opportunities that we have before us with getting involved in Africa. Welcome to the Africa We Deserve. This is a live networking videocast that is an opportunity for Black folks globally to get inspired, to become invested, and to definitely get involved in what's happening in building the Africa that we deserve. Often, Black Americans and those in the diaspora are disconnected from the opportunities that are in Africa, and growingly with the lots of stuff that's happening in the United States, personally and on the business front, there are significant opportunities for us to build legacy, uh, generational wealth, and an opportunity to do social good, and an opportunity for us to connect to who we are. And on today's show, we have with us a dear colleague, Ambassador Ngoga from the African Union. He is the head of conflict prevention. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much, Viola, and hello to everyone, and thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Africa is, and its people are. What are your thoughts?
Africa is beauty. Africa is brilliance. Africa is prosperity. Africa is wealth. And most importantly, its people are kind, resilient, hardworking, and welcoming.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So tell us your role at the African Union. What do you do there? And what is this impact globally, and particularly its impact and opportunity for Black Americans and those in the diaspora?
Thank you so much. Well, mine is to really focus on preventing conflicts on the African continent. And we ensure that our leaders have early warning about potential conflicts, because if we're going to have an Africa that is developing, and it has to be an Africa at peace. And so our focus has been on ensuring that where there is trouble, that we try to extinguish fires, and where there are potential troubles, that we try to intervene early on. For example, right now we have about 18 elections that are happening on our continent. We're very much focused on those. We have terrorism that we're dealing with in some parts of the continent, unfortunately. And we're focusing on not only defeating them, but also addressing the root causes that create terrorism. We have a number of other challenges related to climate change, but these ones are much more long term. But overall, I would say that our continent is a continent that is a tale of two stories: a tale of progress, but a tale of also challenges. But then again, which continent doesn't have challenges?
Truly. And I want to just to really lift up what you're saying, the challenges and the opportunities. America, and particularly Black people in America, have both challenges and opportunities. When we look where we come from, There's been
Mm.
great growth, great opportunity expanded. And yet, there are points within American society, particularly to Black Americans, where there's many challenges. And so when we think about the challenges that Africa has, it is no different than some of the challenges that Black people here within our neighborhoods face every day. And I think that's really important for our friends, families, and colleagues listening when we're thinking about bridging this divide and having this conversation, creating an African unity. Like there are so many similarities, that we hold together. Why is it important for African unity, no matter our place of birth? Why is it important, and what's the impact that's going to have on the continent? So our the screen is frozen most likely, and so the tech gremlins seem to always get in the way when we're having
If you can
conversations.
hear me.
Ambassador, your screen is frozen, and so we're going to wait till you come back to that. So you might want to log in and log back off, or wait till your screen unfreezes. But until that time, so when we see these things happening, these challenges happening with technology, it's no different than the infrastructure sometimes that we see in America. There's great divides between the technology infrastructure that happens here in America, within rural America and urban inner city America. Sometimes technology just doesn't seem to work. When we think about the Africa that we deserve, why is that really important to Black people in America? It's hugely important to Black people in America when you think of in terms of food production and manufacturing. When you think of opportunities for bicontinental trade, when you think about opportunities for intercontinental trade within Africa, when you think that Africa as a whole can be sovereign in its own right, because everything that the world needs, Africa holds. And as folks who are of African descent here in the United States, there are great opportunities for us to join hands, to uplift ourselves, to build networks, to build bridges, to build understanding and solidarity. Ambassador, are you back? Currently, Ambassador Ngoga is in Kenya. He is from,
Thank.
are you there? I think I hear you, but can't see you.
You can't see me?
And that opportunity to engage in Africa, to source and buy Black products, to sell and market and bring things to fruition for the benefit of Black people. Ambassador, are you back?
Can you see me? I'm
I
back. Can you
cannot,
hear me? Can you see me?
can definitely hear you, but cannot see you.
But you, But you can hear me, but you cannot see me. I
Absolutely.
apologize. I apologize about that. It's the technology. This is something we're going to have to work on. By the way, this is one area of investment for our African American folks
Yeah,
going in Africa to improve our infrastructure so that we don't have these, weak internet that actually does not allow us to function.
true.
But just to I was just picking up on where you had left before we had the challenges of the technology.
Sure.
I wanted to talk about the fact that if we're going to talk about African unity, if we're going to be able to trade and to be strong, I think that it starts by getting to know each other. We always assume that we know each other's experiences, but we don't.
Yeah,
In Africa, people think that they know African Americans and their history. They don't. And you can see it from the experiences of the students who arrive in the US when they're Africans. They would say, "Oh, we find that the African American community could do better. They have all these ideas that are made up that actually it was inculcated inside them." The same thing with African Americans vis-a-vis Africans. I remember my experience going to school in the United States. It was the same thing. They had ideas about where we're coming from, what we're coming to do. A lot of misunderstanding, and I think that we need to really work on that and understand the struggles of the people of our African descent in the U.S. And them also to understand what we're dealing with on the continent. And because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you go to Asia, you go to wherever, whatever country you go to India, you go to when it comes to Black people, we are everywhere. You will see that there is prejudice against us, and they don't. For them, you're not. It doesn't matter whether you're African American or African. You're all the same for them.
absolutely. Absolutely. Your
Yeah.
passport does not take away from the anti-Black sentiment that happens to
Absolutely not.
around the world.
Absolutely not. It's a reality.
Yeah, it's a reality, nor your accent, nor your first mother's tongue, or any of that. And I think we saw quite often a lot of that occurred here in the United States. One of our dear brothers from Gambia was brutally killed, and it happened at the hands of the police. There's been instances where we've had long ago, but Amadou Diallo. We've had
Hmm.
recent other brothers and sisters who have been accosted, and trying to understand and bridge this conversation with, first generational Africans coming over for a better opportunity, but being faced with this unspoken thing, big elephant in the room called racism,
Mm.
and how it permeates and how it affects us. As Black people globally, we are all we have. And if we don't
Absolutely.
find value in that, then we will
Mhm.
be lost. And one day we will need a passport to enter our own continent, Africa, if we're not very careful.
Yes, absolutely. I would like to say to you that actually, this pandemic that we're dealing with has, of course, brought its own challenges, but it has also brought a lot of opportunities. We have, of course, economies that have been really seriously affected by the lockdown, the shutdowns. And so this means that, some industries will need investment. We're going to have to think creatively about what we're going to be doing. And I think that for me, the way I look at it, it's an opportunity for African Americans actually to step in and to come and look at opportunities on our continent. We already have a movement. If you look at Ghana, where they're inviting the
Absolutely.
diaspora to come back home, we have it in Senegal. And I think there is even a campaign so that we should really have a, you know, free visa for anyone of African descent to come back
Yes.
home on the mother continent and establish themselves. There are so many skills that African Americans can actually bring to the continent, whether they're doctors, whether they're engineers, or so on and so forth. They can build the capacity of their fellow Africans. And so I think that we need to start looking, at creating the bridge between African Americans and the mother continent. I always think about Bob Marley's song called "The Zion Train." You know the song?
I've
And
heard the song, yes.
yes, a Zion Train. They will say a Soul Train, Zion Train is coming on the way. And one of the things that I would like to say is that that Zion train, it was basically the train of African Americans heading back to their motherland. But that train has never reached its destination, and we hope that it will reach its destination.
We see that there's a movement. Africa is rising, and here in the United States, the people of African
Mhm.
descent are rising and demanding that their humanity is recognized.
Mhm.
There's this, and with that being said, there's opportunities for involvement that you have right now. What are you
Mhm.
doing on the ground, and where the opportunities lie for those in the diaspora to get involved?
Well, I think first and foremost, looking, for example, at elections, right? We carry out regular elections on our continent, but
Mhm.
it is a moment of extreme vulnerability, and that's when actually conflicts occur. And when you look at our elections, where the problem starts often, it's when it's about registration. So the problem you're seeing in the U.S. about the postal service and about all that, so it is also a problem back home. But
Yeah.
you do have people who have expertise on how to take away this problem, the issue of registration. They can come in and give us, for example, their expertise. We are, like I said, we're dealing with violent extremism and terrorism. We have many African Americans who I know, who we've worked with, who are experts in these fields. They can come and help us out to not only understand how to better deal with it, but also to deal with the root causes.
Yes.
I talk about cyber. I talked about the issues related to cyber criminality and so on. So when it comes to conflict prevention, there are ways they can actually get involved, and usually through your U.S. embassy they actually the U.S. embassy has an office to the African Union, which many people do not know, and that can
Say
actually
more about
facilitate
that.
that.
Say more
Yes.
about
So sure. So the U.S. embassy, the U.S. has recognized the importance of the African Union, and so for the last, I would say, for the last 10 years, they've had an embassy just that is dedicated to strengthening the African Union and the work that it does. The ambassador there is a lady called Jessila Penn, and I think that it will be useful for the people listening to us and those of you who are interested to reach out to her and to look at different areas where you can contribute, whether it's peace and security, whether it's in education, whether it's trade and industry. We just have the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which would allow us actually to better trade with ourselves. There's so many areas, and I think that one point of entry can be a U.S. embassy in Addis Ababa to the AU, because there's a U.S. embassy in charge of Ethiopia.
And I think another point of entry, if I may be so forward to say, is that Ambassador, you're doing great work on the ground and you have been doing that for a long time. The
Mm.
International Institute here, this company would be very interested in providing an opportunity for a trade, investment, and involvement mission to Burundi. I was just telling our listening audience
Yes.
where Burundi is located. Let's hear more
Mhm.
about Burundi and the opportunities that are available.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, Burundi is my home. Burundi is located in the heart of Africa. They call it the Switzerland of Africa because it has mountains and it has fertile land and it has uh, lakes. So Burundi is a country that actually gained its independence in 1962, but a country that has experienced challenges as a result of colonialism, and which, by the way, we are asking for $43 billion in reparation to Germany and Germany and Belgium. Uh, but even though we've gone through many problems, we are very proud people and resilient people. And right now, we just had an election. We have a new president as of 18th of June, and he's calling on the country to open up and he's calling for investors to come in the education sector, in energy sector, in transport, banking, telecommunication, and basically in services in all industry, particularly tourism, because we have a lot to show for.
Yes,
So this is a country that is everything is there to build.
yes,
There's and it's neighboring Rwanda to the north, DR Congo to the west, and so if you, for example, you invest in Burundi, your market will not only be Burundi, your market will be Rwanda, Congo, and Tanzania, because we share a border with Tanzania. So there are many opportunities. I mean, I can share with you in private some documentation that you can share with people. But I would really encourage the listeners who are listening to us and who are thinking about what they need to do. If you have populous nations in Africa like the Nigerias and the Ethiopias of this world, but you have those who are smaller, and where, like my country Burundi, where basically the skills could be useful. Look into that. Reach out to our different African embassies that are there in the U.S. We have about 54 actually embassies in Washington D.C.
Yeah,
alone, and they have investment opportunities. And I think that part of the journey to come back to the motherland, or to have a link with the motherland, is to do just that. Oh, by the way, I forgot also artists, African American
yes,
artists.
yes, totally, totally.
Yes, those ones are, for example, we have, I just saw on social media, Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, who was talking about the fact that he has worked with Burna Boy, who's a Nigerian artist, and
Love
that
him,
they're
Brother Boy. Love him.
thank you so much. So they're doing some great work together, and I would encourage actually others also to do the same thing. That's how, through arts, culture, that's how actually we can also help the African American get to know the African continent better, and the continent to get to know African Americans better.
Absolutely. I just love everything that you said. The International Institute has a goal by 2030 to bring 1 million jobs into the continent of Africa. And that goal is started by here, through these networking conversations, to lay out a plan for Black Americans, folks globally, to get connected, to get inspired, and to get involved and invested in what's happening in Africa. And most people say, well, getting involved and getting invested in what's happening in Africa, how does that really benefit Black people here in the United States? One of the opportunities that I tell people, and Ambassador, I want you to come in here. You know quite well here in the United States of America that there's some communities in urban environments that are food deserts, that people here suffer from poverty, suffer from not having food, nutritious food, and malnutrition. There's the same happens within the continent of Africa. Can you, if you reimagine the tomato and the mango and the pineapple, not being outsourced raw, but stayed within the continent or stayed within the country and was transformed, and we sold our own juice and we had our own way for technology to preserve our food, what would the impact be, do you think, on the continent?
I think this is. I totally agree with you. What would be the impact for the African Americans? First of all, I would like to tell them that others are investing in on the African continent except you. So others are making money off of our continent, but not our communities, not our Black people. So why are you missing out? I think the time has come to for African Americans also to get involved. Look, if you look at the private companies that are Americans that are on the continent, and you look at the percentage of African American who work in them, you'll be stunned. It's very little. So
Yeah,
why stay back and ask yourself all these questions when others are already benefiting from our continent? And
and
this
experiencing generational wealth, that their
generational wealth, exactly.
wealthy for generations to come.
Generations to come, and there is nothing that they're doing that African Americans cannot do. You talked about, for example, communities that are deprived. I remember visiting Alabama, and some areas of Alabama were worse than some of the slums that I've seen here.
Truly.
Uh, uh, People not even having bathrooms in their homes. So imagine those folks. If someone were to give them a chance, actually, to come on the continent and to thrive, imagine what it would be like. It will be they will they will have a different experience altogether. I mean, for me, I feel that we need manpower. We have the African continent is the second largest after Asia in the world, and we have vast arable lands. We have there are so many things that needs to be done. Everything needs to be rebuilt and strengthened. And one thing that you should all be fighting for is to really see how we can work to get our diaspora, whether in the United States of America or, we also have Africans who are Russians. Some people do not know them. Africans, people of African descent who are Chinese, you find them everywhere.
Yeah.
So if we can give them an opportunity to really connect with their motherland, and I would like to tell you that there is this office in the AU called SIDO.
Oh, yes, sure.
Yes, and also, we can look at, they had started having conversation and they were planning to come to DC. The problem is that, of course, we were faced with COVID, so it didn't make matters easy. But I'm just saying there is a trend of African Americans looking more and more into opportunities on the continent, and I just think that we need to increase the volume so that people can see that, what, we can uplift each other, we can strengthen each other, and then when people see that we're strong, they will treat us differently.
Absolutely. And particularly, we want to increase the volume with Burundi. We want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You, Ambassador, we want to create a pathway to make that happen, to have,
Mm-hmm.
at minimum, 50 people to be able to go over and be champions and ambassadors themselves to look at the country, to look at opportunities for investment. There are several organizations under one coalition called the Excellence Alliance. And I have to give a shout out to a good sister friend of mine, Tanya Safor, who runs the Sankofa Repatriation Assistance Program. There's several organizations. They're focused on repatriation to Ghana. These are Black American organizations in Senegal. To give a shout out to a good brother there, Radi, who's doing the Made in Africa project with textiles and clothing and goods. And also he is opening up the doors for folks to come back and buy and invest. The same thing is happening in Gambia with the Blacksit community. And so you have a lot of people coming back. And this video cast is for the small companies, the small and medium-sized businesses, for the individuals who are interested in doing business in Africa, for people who are interested in business networking. And we have a real opportunity with Ambassador Ngoga here. He is a friend of ours. He understands Black Americans. He's lived here in the United States. He's done his work. He's been a part of this movement for such a long time. And we're going to create a pathway so that we can support him, his efforts, his work, and also to uplift the country of Burundi. Ambassador, tell us, what is it that you...
Yes. What I know that I have a lot to learn, uh, especially about our African American brothers and sisters. And I'm sure that they also have a lot to learn about us.
Yes. Mi gente, oye me, listen and listen good.
Mm.
Diaspora unity is the only way to go. Without
Yeah.
it, we will be in a continuous place that we always are, at the bottom rung, looking up. Africa is truly beyond aid. And with diaspora unity, economically and socially, we can project ourselves into the future, in the here and now, and for our families and children for generations to come.
Hmm.
Ambassador, any other final thoughts that you have to say, to share with what you're doing, the work that's happening, and opportunities for involvement?
Yes, I would like to say that, we as Black people on the on the continent and on in the world, we have a knee on our neck. And I think that the time has come for us not only to tap into the resources that we have, not only on our continent, because we have wealth. God bless us with wealth. We can tap into that, tap into strengthening bridges, and so that we can be much stronger wherever we go. I think that the time for unity that Marcus Garvey talked about, the dream of Kwame Nkrumah, the time has come. And I think that all these crises we're faced with, show us that if we don't do that, we, like you said, we will be kept down. So my last word would be again to go back to the soul train and the Zion train that I was talking about, and the
Yeah.
fact that I hope that it will reach its destination, and we look forward to welcoming our brothers and sisters on our continent. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Ambassador. So here we do have, I want to lift up the technology challenge that we have. We have an ambassador here who is doing great work, but yet there's an infrastructure problem. Friends, families, colleagues, business folks, let's reach out to the International Institute. There is MTN on the ground. When we look at technology, we look at who is operating technology on the ground in the continent. Very few Black folks are doing that work. The door is wide open for that to happen. The ambassador is here to help guide and lead us in the way necessary in order to come into the continent and come into Burundi and come into surrounding countries to create a market so that we can be able to have a strong opportunity business wise, so that we can have a strong telecom industry. So that today was just an opportunity for us. When we see problems and problems, let's not look at them as problems. Let's look at them as opportunities for us to bridge a divide that is here, because these same problems that we're experiencing on this video chat happens here in America too, where now we have countless young people who are in school online, and there's a big divide between the haves and haves not, and between how technology works. So this is an opportunity for us to come together and fix this. So within the next 6 months, by December, I'm expecting this challenge to be solved by Black Americans contacting and working through the International Institute with the ambassador to take away this challenge that we see, and we'll have a thriving economy in the tech field there. Ambassador, thank you so very much for coming on with us today. We appreciate you here. You're welcomed at any time to come on again and share the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me, Viola. It was a pleasure to participate.
Fantastic. Next Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 3 questions, 30 minutes, and a chance to build economic sovereignty. Thanks for tuning in to the Africa that we deserve. Until next time.